Yeah, we grew the business to 100K a month in 7 months, and that's amazing. But like, we have bigger goals. There's always other people coming. There's always other people who see what you do, and that's the beauty of business, right? It's competitive. And the day we think that we can just hang up our running shoes on the shelf and not work anymore, that's really the day we start dying, right?
Why a lot of six-figure entrepreneurs can't scale to seven figures and beyond?
It's dangerous when it gets to your head. Like, it's with athletes, right? When athletes become the best athlete, and then they start to go out and party and do all of this other stuff, and they think they're the shit in a way, right? That's when they start to lose out and they're not focused on the work anymore. The business is just a trade. You have something that your market wants, and you want something that they have, right? So you trade like a course or a product or a service for money that you want. So the main thing to focus on if you want to grow a business is just to figure out what the market wants. There's so many people saying different things. At the end of the day, you will have to take inspiration from people, and then you have to create your own plan. I can listen to all of these people, and that's interesting, but I'm going to create my own flywheel. And then I can listen to, yeah, high ticket is the way to go. Interesting. Does that fit into my plan? Yeah, it does kind of fit in over here. But low ticket is also crazy good. So instead of just trying to jump around, you just take inspiration and you take that, and then you use your own brain, your own thinking, your own planning to try to fit that into what you are doing.
Hi, Max. Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So recently, your community on Skool hit $100,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And I remember in the beginning of the year when you made the decision to start and go all in on Skool, right? And start this business. And can you walk me through like why did you make that decision, and kind of go back to the back in time and tell us what was in your mind, why did you think it was a good idea, and how it's been working so far?
Yeah, so I was already running a Skool community like almost a year before, or at least like 6 months, or I had a free community, first on Facebook groups and then on Skool eventually. And then I knew that the Skool payments were about to roll out. And then I saw this like infamous post by Alex Ramosi where he said that I just made the biggest investment of my life into Skool, and this is going to revolutionize the entire industry. And I was actually very sick at that time. I was having fevers and I was snuffling, and it was just, I was really, really bad. And then I just decided to just go all in on Skool and kind of share what I'd done with Skool so far. And so I spent like a Friday through a Sunday, and I spent like 12, 13, maybe even 14 hours per day just recording like a course on what I've done with Skool so far. And I created like the Skool masterclass. I went all in. And that's kind of how started my current community then, like the Skool masterclass, teaching other people how to start running grow Skool communities. Yeah.
That's so cool, man. And what's funny about this is that I remember exactly how you started, because I was following you at the exact time of when all this thing happened. And I think it was kind of in the air, and a lot of people have felt this, that like something's gonna happen, right? This I think it was the story of Hormozy when he just revealed a part of his head or something. Like people started talking about it, and like this was this understanding that now Skool is going to take over, right? And I remember you started Max Premium. That's what it was called before. Now it's Skool Masterclass, and I remember that you made an Instagram story and you said like something like, "Hey, 15 people joined, and that's cool, but I think I expected a little bit more, but it's good. We are going to still grow." And like it was so early, and I remember it. And you didn't have it all figured out, right? You were just starting, and you took action, and because you worked hard and you kept being focused, and you did the boring work, right? You got here, and it took time, and it wasn't easy, but I want to I want you to share maybe with people how important it is to take action, because you said like you were sick, and I think you spent the whole weekend on making that Skool masterclass, which ended up blowing up on YouTube, getting 100,000 views, and kind of the momentum picked up from there. Like how important it is to take action when you don't have it all figured out.
Yeah, like nothing happens without taking action in a way, right? And that's something I've learned about myself from doing this entrepreneurial thing now for, I think it's the seventh year or something like that, ups and downs and failures and tribulations and all of that. I figured out, like most people, that I'm really, really good at starting stuff, and I'm quite early into stuff. I was quite early into the high level thing and building a course and becoming one of their top affiliates there by building a free course and promoting their stuff. And I was also very into Skool, but it's like a double-edged sword because it's not only about starting and taking action, but it's also about like staying to it, right, and sticking to it. And that has been something that I've battled with a lot, and that's something that I've learned that lesson now from the high level thing that I went through, that there's always other people coming. There's always other people who see what you do, and that's the beauty of business, right? It's competitive, but it's not only about starting something and being early into something and taking massive action, but it's doing that consistently and doing that over and over and over again, day after day, trying to build a team, then maybe eventually as well, who helps you as well. But yeah, taking action is important and to get started, but even more important is just to like try to stay in the game for a long time.
I've watched your video recently that you posted and you were sharing your lessons with people, your biggest lessons in entrepreneurship. And one of those was the thing that you just shared, which is other people are coming. So when things are working out, you need to not slow down. You shouldn't think you are in the top of the world, but keep going like and go even more all in, right? Because that's your opportunity. So can you share like kind of what's happening, maybe what's happening in your mind right now? Because a lot of people probably see you crushing it, right? They dream to be in your position, like at seven figures, like people know you, you're crushing it, you have all this success, you are helping people, you have good reputation. Would you say that like right now you are completely like happy, if that would be the right word, or like content where you are? Or you have still the mindset of like this is just the beginning, like I'm just getting started, I need to go all in. um, and yeah, can you share that?
Yeah, like I am very, very afraid of thinking that I'm not talk and I talk with my team about this all the time. Like the day we think we're the best and we're cocky and like it's gonna be like this forever, that's really, really dangerous. Like we're going to be the best team if we are just very humble. We know that there's always people coming, and the day we think that we can just hang up our running shoes on the shelf and not work anymore, that's really the day we start dying, right? um, so yeah, that's a lot what's going through my mind right now. Just not trying to focus too much on what other people are doing, and just purely focusing on our plans and focus on what we do and just constantly try to make it better. Um, because yeah, there's a great book called Who Stole My Cheese. I don't know if you've read that book. It's a very,
No.
very simple book. I can recommend that to everybody. It's a book on sales, and it's a story about five mice who live in the labyrinth, and they have this big castle full of cheese, and they have more cheese than they can ever eat. And then one day the cheese is gone, and then the book is basically about those. Oh, it's three different mice, and one mice just go out and just start looking for new cheese. Another mice is hesitant, and the third mice is just like, no, I'm gonna wait for the cheese to come back. So that's kind of the mindset that we have in my team as well. That we just like never get content, never think that we're the best or anything. We just like focus down on our goal and just try to stay consistent, figure out what works, and then just do more of that. And I also know that we're nothing. Like if you compare us to like big entrepreneurs out there, like we're nothing. We're just super, super small thing. And yeah, we grew the business to 100K a month in 7 months, and that's amazing. But like we have bigger goals. We want to make it really, really big. So we're just trying to stay the path, I guess.
Love it, man. And I can confirm from my experience in meeting Max in person that is probably one of the most humble people I've ever met, especially from successful people. And I can see that it's really authentic to you, right? You're not trying to play it or etc. It's really who you are, and it's also something that draws people to you. And I think that's so cool that like no one wants to learn from people that are just arrogant all the time and think they know the answers, right? But if you just show up, be humble, learn. Like what's funny about this is that you will probably end up being more successful, which is I'm sure going to be the case for you. Because the reason that you got here is because you had that mindset, right? If you didn't, you would stop at 10K a month, 50K a month or something, but you didn't. And can you share maybe like do you think this would be the maybe not the biggest, but one of the biggest reasons that people can't scale let's say from 10K a month to 100K a month or above, where you are at the moment, is that they get complacent, they stop doing the boring work, they stop doing more of what's already working. What would be the biggest things that you think are stopping, maybe from your experience with working with people or studying them or looking at them, why a lot of six-figure entrepreneurs can't scale to seven figures and beyond?
Yeah, and just before I tell like get my point of view on that, like just for the record, I'm not saying like be humble just because I'm trying to be the best guy in the world or anything like that, right? I
Yeah.
just see it's dangerous when it gets to your head. Like it's with athletes, right? When athletes become the best athlete and then they start to go out and party and do all of this other stuff and they think they're the shit in a way, right? That's when they start to lose out and they're not focused on the work anymore. So this humble thing, it's not just for me to trying to be a good guy. It's just it's dangerous to not be in a way, right? Right. And then like the from going through this experience myself, and to answer your question regarding like the best thing to focus on if you just want to find something that works in business, it's literally, in my opinion, just to go back to the basics, right? The business is just a trade. You have something that you can trade. You have something that your market wants and you want something that they have, right? So you trade like a course or a product or a service for money that you want. So the main thing to focus on if you want to grow a business is just to figure out what the market wants. That's literally it. And the easiest way to do that is to look at your competitors. Like you're in the YouTube game, Harut, right? You know YouTube very well. Like how do you make a successful YouTube channel, YouTube video? Well, you observe what other people are doing that's already successful, right?
Yeah.
So that's, I see that a lot now with entrepreneurs as well. And myself, like we try to be original. We try to do new stuff. We try to reinvent the wheel when it's just easier to look at the marketplace. What do people want? Where are they buying? Like who are they buying from and why do they buy that specific thing? So if you want to be wet, just stand when it's rain, right? It's the saying. Or if you want to make money, just position yourself where money is flowing, type of thing. And you don't have to copy people like straight off, but you can copy their positioning. Like what is it that they're selling? And Apple also has a saying about that, right? Tim Cook said in an interview that we're not trying to be first, we're just trying to be best. So they just observe what people are already buying and they're like, oh, people like the AI, artificial intelligence, we're just going to call it Apple AI and just make it better. So I think, I feel like that is just the best, easiest, most powerful business strategy in the world. Just copy what works.
That's so true, man. And I can't agree enough with that. It's just about doing more and seeing what works. And why you think then people don't do it? Like they think it's bad to copy, they don't know this, because why people don't do this then?
It's a great question. I think people don't do it because we're not aware that we can do it, I think. I literally, I like, I think that's really it. We think that we need to come up with some new thing, that everything needs to be new. But the truth is that the market wants what the market wants. They want a specific thing. And the person just figures out what that thing is and just give them that. Then you get what you want, which is most of the time money and making sales, right? So then the easiest thing is just to see like who else in the marketplace has figured out what the market wants, right? Who is currently making sales and crushing it? And can I just sell what they sell, but make it better and make it different and make it in my way? So that's, I feel like that is the biggest hack to trying to figure out the content game or trying to figure out the business thing as well, right? To make sales. And I'm not
Yeah.
big on social media or anything like that. You generate a lot more views than I have, but I think you agree, right? It's just like when it comes to the contents thing as well, you copy what works, you see what people want to watch, and then you give them that. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. And it's not only in content, as you said, it's in everything. Like if you just study people and what has worked for them, it's like the quote, success leaves clues, right? If you do what has worked for others, it will probably work for you too. And it's a simple advice, but I think that's what people need to hear. It's not about the brand new strategy that no one talks about or some secret. It's about, okay, is there product market fit? Do people want what you have? Right? Have you talked to the market? Is there anyone else doing it successfully? Why can't you do it? Why can't you make it better? And focusing on the foundations. And if you do it, you will grow. And uh, and it's such a great advice because it's proven to work, and no one can argue with that. And if you follow it, you will be more successful. And the thing about this, what I wanted to ask is, um, is this the plan for you for the next, let's say, 5 or 10 years? I know that it's hard to answer these questions because, like, 10 years ago, you probably didn't know that you will be here. So things change, and especially online, things change fast. But, like, if it's 2034 and you, for fun, just opened this podcast to see what you were thinking 10 years ago, and you saw your younger self right now in 2024, what you wish that you have achieved with School Masterclass or personally or with your business in 2034 that you would be proud of?
I think the main thing is that I stuck to it. Like, it takes time to figure out this business thing as well, right? Like, my first mentor, it was actually my first client, a really, really good entrepreneur here in Sweden. His name is Fred. And I was part of his startup and a clean tech company. And he eventually sold that company for $35 million and made a big exit. And he's like the old school entrepreneur, right? Who's been working all his life. And he had a good end of his then entrepreneurial journey in a way, right? But he said something which was very, very true. He said, Max, it takes about 7 years to figure things out, like 7 years of famine, and then you have 7 years of success in a way, right? So, and I had a huge milestone in my business and my financial life now, just, yeah, this summer essentially. And then I remember that. I was like, I wonder how long it was since I started. And it was like 7 months, 7.1 months since I started my business. So it took, or 7 years, sorry, seven
Yeah.
years. Yeah, so it was like 7 years on the dot. Um, so yeah, and maybe people don't like to hear that. I think you can make it quicker as well. But if you look at Skool as well, for example, they are in their 5th year, I think now. So imagine Skool in 2 years. It's probably going to take them 7 years to really figure out a really, 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 really good platform. And then after that, it's most likely just going to blow up. So if I look back, it's just like figuring out what you want, trial and error, what you want to do, finding something that the market wants, find something that you truly enjoy, that I feel like I found now after 7 years, and then just stick to that, and then just make it better and better and better over time. Yeah.
So true. And what's fun is that I think it took you 7 months to grow School Masterclass to 7 figures, right? Or to 100K a month.
There's something that's funny. I haven't thought about that. Yeah.
Yes, which is cool. So, uh, yeah, that's so interesting. And I think the more successful people I listen to, they all talk about this. Like I've never heard Hormozy, Sam Ovens, you, like billionaires. No one says, yeah, it's fast, right? You will figure it out in 3 months or in 6 months. Everyone says think long term, right? And if you think in the next 1, 3, 5, 10, 20, 30 years, which is very hard to do, you will get such a competitive advantage because no one else is doing it, right? And you will have better expectations. You will stick to it because you're not trying to cheat the system and find some shortcut today. And if you do that, then it will work out, which is great. Now, people will hear this and they will say, amazing, good for you guys, right? Like you are making money and like, of course, long term, yeah, 7 years. But um, if someone is in a position where they can't afford to think that long term, or they think they can't, and they maybe need to make money right now or whatever, what would you tell them? Would you tell them to get a job, for example? I know you have talked about this with Sam on the podcast. Or would you tell them to focus on monetizing now, but also build something for the long term? Like, what would be your advice to people that are watching this and they think that they need to make money right now because they need to pay bills or about this? So how they balance that versus the long term thinking?
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong, you can make money super quick, right? I just, like, you can make money very quick. Like, in your, like, I've seen a 16-year-old grow $100,000 per month agency from scratch in 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So you can make money fast. It's, if you work hard and you do this product market fit thing and all of that we talked about. I just think that it probably takes 7 years for somebody who starts out to kind of find not only how to make money, that's just one part of it, but just actually making money with something that you enjoy, finding a business model that is scalable, all of these things. Like, it takes quite a little bit of time to figure out, like, maybe the thing that you're going to work on for the long term. But and yeah, there's 15 years old on YouTube, like getting two and a half, like like a quarter billion views in two
Yeah.
months and like 1 million subscribers in like 2 months as well. So it can happen fast. But if people want to make money fast, I just think just do what we talked about initially, right? Just go from your own desires and what you like, right? So think through like, what do I actually like and what do I actually enjoy? And then look for somebody else who has a business making money doing that thing, right? And the easiest way to find those competitors is just to either Google or like YouTube around. And I don't really care if people find it or not. The main thing is just to look for them on the internet. But because if you don't find them today, I can pretty much guarantee that you're going to get an ad from that later on. I can't tell you how many times that have happened to me. So find somebody out there in the marketplace who's selling something that you find very interesting, and then observe them, study them, buy their products, and just think, how can I make this better? And then start there. Yeah.
So good, man. So good. And that's true. One thing I see people struggle with, and I would like to get your perspective on this, is people say, I don't know what I like, or I don't have a skill, right?
Yeah.
So what they should do, in your opinion? Should they try to experiment with things, see what they like, what's closer to their heart, and like start a free community around that and talk to people, try to identify something that they could improve, or maybe something else?
Yeah, like Sam Ovens talk about this, right? He called it gun to your head, um, yeah, gun to your head marketing, or gun to your head test is basically what he
Yeah.
calls it, right? So imagine if a gun to your head and you had to make a decision to do something. Like if you're going to choose a business right now with a gun to your head, you have like 2 seconds to decide what you're going to go for. And then you just choose. You don't think about what it is. You don't contemplate if this is the right or wrong thing. You just decide on something and then you do that. Worst case scenario, which is actually a really, really good scenario, is that you don't enjoy this thing, right? And then you know, and then you will most likely know what to do next, right? The main thing is just to get started and do something. Um, and that's basically it. Like we have YouTube nowadays, you have ChatGPT that you can converse with to just figure stuff out. And now with
Yeah.
Skool, right, this thing that Sam has built, you can literally turn any passion that you have into a thriving community initially and make money from that. It doesn't have to be this teaching people how to make money thing anymore. You can make a community about your interests. If you love gaming, or if you love surfing or climbing, or if you love golf, or if you love poker, I don't know, whatever it is that you enjoy, you can create a community around that and start there. And if you don't have any skills, and if you need to learn like basic skills in business, like sales or marketing or stuff like this, there's so much courses out there, and there's so much free stuff as well. So as long as you want to do something and just put in the time and just do it, then you will progress. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. I think what people miss is they think that they need to come up with the perfect plan before they start. Like Hormozis says, there is no perfect conditions to start. Starting is the perfect condition, right? And that's not true. So if people just take action and they start something, they will be in a better position than if they just sit there and think, oh, I don't have this, I don't have that. Just start, pick something. And that analogy was very good for the gun count your head marketing,
Yeah.
because that will force people to make a decision. Um, do you think it's important to love what you do?
Yeah, I do actually. I think it's very important to love what you do. Um, like I was running an agency before, serving a market that I wasn't interested in, and I didn't really enjoy the model, the service-based business model. I love that I did it because I learned a lot, but I didn't really love it, and it wasn't scalable, and it was very stressful, and I was also serving clients that I didn't really have any in common with. I liked them as human beings, but I didn't really have like share their interest in a way. I didn't do what they were selling, right? And then if you compare to it now, where I really, really enjoy what I do, and I have this entire ecosystem of other school community owners like yourself and my team, it's just like night and day. It's fun. Like I wake up and just like have the blast of my life. It's super, super fun. But it takes some time to figure that out, what that is. I think you can do it faster than I did, but yeah, I think it's important to love what you do. I think it's very important.
I absolutely agree, and I have a very similar experience. I know that you have had a very successful agency before, and like you stopped that. And for me, it was similar. I was running faceless YouTube channels back then mainly, and then it was. I remember I was 18 years old. I told this story before, but I made $24,000 in a month and I did nothing that month, literally nothing, like nothing. I was watching YouTube videos and like old videos blowed up, and then but I was miserable. Like that month, I was thinking like okay, what's next? What's the meaning of life, right? What I'm doing? I'm just getting views, not helping people. And then what I did, I said, okay, I probably like teaching or coaching. Let me start teaching other people how to run faceless channels. And back then, I was still actively doing it, and I grew that to about $50,000 a month last year when I was 20, and it was doing very well. And I stopped that again. I literally just like stopped the whole business. Probably wasn't the smartest decision. Maybe I could just, I don't know, sell it or a better way to exit it. But I don't regret it. Which is just I just stopped it. And I started building from scratch. I remember I reached out to you. That was, by the way, the beginning of me trying to see if I can help entrepreneurs, personal brands to grow their YouTube channels, to grow their businesses, their organic audience, their Twitter, all of this stuff, right? Decision making. And I just tried it. And then I said, oh my God, I enjoy this so much more. And I love this so much more. And now I'm so much happier than I was then. And this is going to be so much more successful as well. I already see it, right? So I experienced something very similar. I think a lot of people do, like even some of us who grew consulting.com to huge numbers, right? I think $30 million a year. And it's been very successful. It's been a very necessary part of his journey, and even sold it. And then he started Skool. This is what he's passionate about. So I absolutely agree with you. Like loving what you do is necessary. But I also think that people sometimes get into the extremes. So I would like you to share this. Like, would you agree with this? Like, people think, oh, like if it's what I like to do, then everything is perfect there. Like, is it the case for you, or although you still love it, sometimes you wake up and you say, oh, like, oh my God, like there are things that you don't like. No, not everything is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like it's pretty much impossible for you as a human being to enjoy everything, right? You have certain things that you like more. And in the beginning, when you're a solopreneur, you kind of have to do everything, right? So let's say you, like in our case, when we run our community, like we do a lot of, like 50% of our sales comes from calls, right? And I don't want to spend my whole day doing calls, but the business needs it in a way, right? So that's when it can become good to then hire a team, right? You can always, there's always other people out there who love that thing that you can get together. You can create a small group of people and everybody kind of have complementary talent as well. And maybe that's a little bit out of the scope of this video, but and Sam talks about that as well. Like his business operated most efficiently when they were the group of a small band, so around like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in the beginning, you might not enjoy everything, but you can always solve that pretty easily by finding cool people to work with.
So good. About the small team, I love I love it. I love the analogy. I've heard it somewhere, like special forces versus army. That's kind of a good analogy, right?
Yeah,
You want to have special forces, like small, like very highly intelligent, highly capable people, rather than slow, big army that kind of, you know. So
yeah,
yeah, that's a good mindset. And what you have shared about like it's impossible to love every single detail and you can just hire people. It's so true. And I think people don't get the difference between this macro versus micro, right? Which is, I think you need to love what you do on the macro, but which means on the big picture, right? You love the vision, you love the vehicle that you are in, you love the clients that you are working in. But then on the micro, day to day, there will be things that you don't enjoy. There will be something that will annoy you, and that's life. So if people understand kind of this difference, that would be cool. And this is what I wanted to share as well. There are people that don't say like follow your passion, you don't have to love what you do, etc. And for example, Hormozy talks about this, right? He doesn't say, hey, just do what you hate, but he says like, you don't have a passion, you just do something, you get good at it, and then it becomes your passion, which may be true, right? But I think even for people, and I partly agree with him, but even for people that say that, they probably enjoy the macro vision too. if you think about it, right? Would you agree with this? Like even Hormozy, I think he loves business. He loves like growing and working hard. So that's the macro. And within that, he says, yeah, you just need to do what's required or you need to do this. But then he still does what he loves, doesn't he?
Yeah. No, I agree. And like business is fun when it works. It's not fun when it doesn't work, right? So when you have something that people buy and they love it and they get results, then business is fun, right?
Yeah.
And it's scalable. And you know, if you look at Hormozy, like Layla is basically running the business, right? She is
Yeah.
like he doesn't want that role. Like she's basically running everything, and he spends his time on stuff that he enjoy, which is like building the brand. Like he spends like I think he said like on the last event, right? Spends like 4 hours every day doing content, and then writing his book. So he's just placed himself within the business where doing stuff that he likes or he feels most impact the business most and doing stuff that he enjoys. And then everything else, when it's like you can imagine how much stuff they have in acquisition.com that's going on under the hood. It's
Yeah.
probably crazy. And
Yeah.
there's other people for that. Yeah.
Yeah, so true.
So
And
yeah.
like I when I paid attention to this, I noticed this almost in everyone. Like the people that say you don't really have to do what you love, like even let's say Andrew Tate, right? He says like just do it, like you don't but he just loves all of it. He loves like pushing hard and working hard and like being the most capable version of himself, let's say. And that's his thing that he loves. So and not everyone is like that. But because he's that extreme on that, on being as capable as possible, on having as the most influence, power, or whatever, um, becoming the best version of himself, fulfilling his whole potential, then that's the thing that he loves. That's why he might not care what he does as much. So I think if you're not that person, you still need to not look at what people say, but what they do. And pretty much all of them do what they love, at least on the macro. Anyone that you look at, like even Mr. Beast, he's super successful and he loves what he does on the macro 100%. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing YouTube for like 10 plus years. But imagine that it's not easy day to day to like work, be Mr. Beast, right? Like his day is probably crazy, and he talks about it on podcast that like he gets depressed every other couple of weeks, and then he takes a day off, and then he comes back and he works again because like it's crazy. So on the macro, he doesn't love traveling for 12 hours to go to India to record the video about the cheapest hotel, and then go back, and then this problem happened, and then. But like on the micro, on the small day to day, there will be things that you don't like. And as you said, you can delegate it to a team, and the harder you work and the more progress you will make, it's gonna get easier. But big scale, you need to love what you do. Um, and yeah, I think that I agree with you on that.
Yeah. And what you like is just a feeling, right? Like it's just what I don't think a lot of people understand, and what I didn't understand for the longest period of time, is that your personality and your character can be changed. Like you can change your interests, you can change who you are, right? And because you're basically just a human being with a program in your head, and the stuff that you like, and they like when your brain tells you that you like something, it's because your current personality and character is used to that. But you can change your character, you can change yourself to enjoy stuff that you're currently not enjoying, like, right? You can become something, you can become whoever you want to become, right?
Yes.
It's all in your head, and that's why very successful people say like it's all mindset. It's all in your head. Yeah.
I think it's so funny. Like there are so many things that are kind of the both sides are true. Like it's kind of there are paradoxes. That's what's interesting for me in life. Like I noticed like so much conflicting advice, or it seems it's conflicting because like if you look at if you look at the same things differently, they're kind of both true. Or what you just shared, right? We were just talking about yeah, you need to love what you do. Like you look at this person, he likes it, but then you also right now just made a good point, which is like I wasn't born like liking what I do, like or you weren't born liking Skool, right? Like Skool didn't exist. So like we kind of grow into it, and then we see it works, and then we kind of like it more. Like I didn't speak English, right? It's my like third language or something. You either. So like we kind of learned it. So it's not that you wake up and then you say, oh, this is the thing. And it's so interesting for me. Like, have you noticed this, or it's just me? Like about this paradox that the same thing. You look at the different sides, like both is true.
Yeah, I've thought about it. Like, and I don't know if you've seen this new movie, Alien, that goes on the cinemas right now. I recently went and watched it. Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
no,
No?
no.
Oh, okay. In that movie, there's a robot, essentially. It's one of the main characters. And that robot, in the middle of the movie, I'm not going to spoil too much, but
Yeah.
they basically changed the chip in the head of that robot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he completely changes. Like his personality and his values and all of that completely changes by just like changing out the chip in his head, basically his programming. And we're as humans, we're exactly like that. It's just that most human beings just go through life with the same programming as they most likely just got when they were a kid, right? Or something like, and they think they are who they are. And Sam talks a lot about this in his old training as well. It's like you can change who you are. You can
Yeah.
become something completely different because you can program yourself, right? And yeah, there is paradoxes to everything, right? And yeah, like you're not hopeless. You can fix pretty much everything when in your own control. And the main thing you can control is your own mind. And as you brought up Andrew Tate as well, and he talks a lot about that. It's like
Yeah.
they can lock me in and they can try to control me and all of this stuff, but they can't control your thoughts, right? You program
Yeah.
yourself. Yeah.
Yes, so true. We are going to talk about this, about becoming a new person, because I know that it definitely helped you in your journey, and I have some interesting question about that. Um, and talking like before that, talking about this paradox thing. Um, One thing I will share with you, maybe you'll resonate with this as an example for people. Like I was watching Hormozy, and like in the within the couple of days, I've heard the advice, and like I think both is true, which is there's usually just one big thing that you need to focus on. There's one constraint, right? That you need to eliminate and you will get to the next level. So like focus is important. What's the one thing that you need to do? And then like you watch another short or reel or YouTube video and then it says, it's not about one thing. It's about 100 golden BBs, right? It's about one, and like the person sitting there will say like, okay, so do I right now just do one thing? Do I do 100 things well? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
is it one thing, or within that one thing there are 100 small things? So there are
Yeah.
so many things like this that, and especially I just made a small point. There are 1,000 things like this. Like the people say, just focus this on YouTube. No, you need to be on all the platforms, because why you don't redistribute, and why you, because Gary Vee talks about this, but Hormozy says this. And that's why I
Yeah.
think what's important is like just to pick and get started, because anything can work. Would you agree with this, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, like it's very true, right? Because you can get from A to B in multiple different ways. Like what's true for one person is right for that person, right? And they got it to work with one specific technique or method, right? But for somebody else, they did something completely different. Like, for example, I saw quickly the interview that you did with William, right? And he said he
Yeah.
was very highly into high ticket, right? Selling high ticket like is really like is great. But then there's also people selling low ticket, and they also make it work, right? And Henry Ford has a quote, because I think this is what it comes down to. Um, like Henry Ford has a quote that is like, thinking is the hardest work we do, which is why so few people engage in it, right? Like like thinking takes a lot of energy. It's hard. Like planning and thinking is tough. It if you have too much energy and you don't know what to do, you can go to the gym and just crush it in a workout. Or you can, I challenge you, sit down and like think and try to figure stuff out. It's gonna drain your energy. So it's hard to
Yeah.
think, and most of us humans don't want to do it. We much rather go to this guy on YouTube, or this guy in a course, or this person over here, and listen to what they do and just do what they do, right? So we can copy what works. But then, as you said, there's so many people saying different things. So at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you will have to take inspiration from people, and then you have to create your own plan. And then you stick to your own plan. I can listen to all of these people, and that's interesting, but I'm going to create my own flywheel. I'm going to create my own business plan. Here's what I'm going to do. And then I can listen to, yeah, high ticket is the way to go. Interesting. Does that fit into my plan? Yeah, it does kind of fit in over here. But low ticket is also crazy good. So instead of just trying to jump around, you just take inspiration and you take that, and then you use your own brain, your own thinking, your own planning to try to fit that into what you are doing, right? And I heard also
Yeah.
when you talked to Hamza, he said that, people, he basically talked about that, right? He said that people are looking at me and I like bodybuilding. So everybody want to be like me, and then they just do bodybuilding without trying to like figure out what they want to do, right? It's
Yeah.
exactly this point. So you can take inspiration from people, but then bring that into your own character, into your own life and your own business, and like use that as an inspiration to build your own thing. Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned from you. And like, first, let me share something with you, which is interesting. Um, like, even from what you have just said right now, there was a little bit paradox there. And like, I'm just saying this for people because you are still right. But like, I'm not sure if you have noticed this, but like in the beginning of the podcast, um, we were talking about just copy what works,
Yeah.
right? Just go out there and just do it. And right now, a couple of sentences ago, you said, and it made complete sense. And you were again right. You said people go and just copy what works, but they don't do the thinking. So like the person watching this, like they could have
Yeah.
noticed this, not notice it, but both of your things is right. It's like it's all about like combination of this. Like sit down, do your own thinking, and then see what works for you, and then maybe go and then see what works for others and take pieces out of it and combine
Yeah.
with you. That can be way. But like if someone is just listening to this and this is just one podcast, imagine they are watching 10, 20, 30, 1,000 things, real there. The ideas that you have, the paradoxes within, it's crazy. And that's why
Yeah.
what I love, and the answer of this is what you have shared, is the answer, which is you still need to sit down and do your own thinking. Otherwise, you will go crazy and kind of try to apply everything else, adapt everything else to this, because this needs to be the foundation. I remember we were on a call a couple of months ago, and I was asking you, do you think I should do this or I should do this? And then you told me this. You said, have you done your own thinking? Like, people are just lazy. That's why they're asking for advice here and there, and they're trying to outsource that decision. When you need to sit down and you yourself figure out why I'm doing this, what's my flywheel, right? Do do people want what I have? Am I gonna want to do this in the next 10 years? What's my strategy? How this piece plays with this piece? And this really helped me because now, after that, I've realized that I don't always have to listen to others before I first done my own thinking. And only after that, I will try to take inspiration. Um, yeah.
Yes. And yeah, most of us are very reactive, right? Somebody tells us something bad and our like we don't even think about it, right? We just react and we go into an argument and we react immediately. It's like we can't control ourselves in a way. And it's the same thing with business. You're on YouTube, you're like, oh, you're getting FOMO, like, oh, now I have to do that thing, right? And like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. Now I'm gonna do that, and then oh no, this thing showed up. So right now I need to do that other thing instead. Whereas, like, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars into coaching, courses, consulting, mentorship, masterminds, all of that, which is super helpful. Like, I would never have been where I am today without that. But now what I do, I've kind of filled my head with, I'm still keeping my pulse on what's going on out there. But I had the biggest breakthrough in my own life and in my own business where I realized that I can use my own brain. Like, I have a supercomputer in here and and it's not like you have to be a genius to figure things out. You literally need a pen and paper and ask yourself questions like, what should I do? Like, what's my plan? What do I want to do? And like, consult yourself. Like, that's basically what thinking is. Thinking is just sitting down with a pen and paper and asking yourself questions and then try to answer those questions. And if you can't answer them initially, go to bed, go to sleep, and then pick it up in the morning again. Like, you will be amazed how many ideas you get from you don't know where, right? You will get ideas from the ether or whatever you want to call it, right? This is when you get into the stuff that big inventors has been talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Tesla, and if you read Napoleon Hill, then if you listen to all of these big entrepreneurs, they talked a lot about this,
Yeah.
like using your own brain and kind of tuned into where the ideas are. Yeah. It's just
Right.
you're sitting on a lot of stuff, and most people are too busy to even look into it. Yeah.
So powerful. And for people listening to this, like, I think when you do get started, and maybe I am wrong, but this plays well what you have just said, is probably you need to learn from others more than later down the line, because you when you start you kind of don't know anything, and I still don't know anything, like, and there's so much yet to learn. But like, I remember when I was like 16, so I'm 22 now, so it was like 6 years ago. And it's funny, by the way, because it also will be 7 years soon. But um, I was, how I started is I started by listening to hundreds of audiobooks. And like, that's when literally I didn't know what business is, what success is, that people want to get better, that there is this thing called self-improvement. I was just like, in a regular life, yeah, you just go to school, go to university, work at a 9 to 5, and then like, that's it, right? And then you die. That's kind of the. But once this world opened up to me, which is, there is other people doing this. There is people that become the best version of themselves. There are people that find their tribe and do good stuff and change the world and live cool lives. And once I've learned that, I started absorbing a lot of information, and I think that's what changed my paradigm. And after you kind of have a lot of these thoughts, like, as Sam Evans talks about this, like garbage in, garbage out, or greatness in, greatness out, right? If you have that good things coming in, that's when at some point I think that would be beneficial to stop and then do your own thinking. Because you have been programmed by all of these successful people, and now you need to stop listening as much so you don't confuse yourself and sit down and think. Because otherwise, if someone like is completely new and getting started, they sit down and think, they don't know what to think about. They don't even know what questions to ask themselves. They don't know that they should even think about the product market fit or what they like to do. They are they don't know it, right? So would you agree with this? That like, if you're completely new, learn a lot and then like kind of do your own thinking and then keep learning. Is it still a paradox, or am I overcomplicating it?
No, like I think basically what we're talking about and how we summarize it is just like entrepreneurship is a thinking game. So if
Yeah.
you don't think, you're not even in the game. Like it's all about thinking. Execution and all of that, of course you need to do that, but that's pretty simple, right? You just build a character who do the work. But if you don't think, and if you, like it's everything. It's literally
Right.
everything. Why is Sam building $1 billion worth company, and why is Hormozy more successful than I am? Yeah, like he might do, like he has the same hours in a day, but he's more mature in his business mind. He has more experience, he has done more thinking, and he has a better business brain that I have. He doesn't have a better body, or you can make an argument that he has that as well because he's buff like crazy, right? But it's his brain. That's what it
Yeah.
is. That's the same thing with Sam. It's his mind. If he took his mind into my body, he would still crush it. It's just a thinking game.
I agree with you, but again, then there's there is a paradox there, because, um, and I'm not trying to be like challenging or something. I'm really curious, so that's why I want to like dig deep, if you don't mind, and we will move from this soon. But like, again, when we say it's all about thinking, that's when a lot of people watching this will say, "Oh yeah," and then they do nothing and they do no action, and like they thought about it, but like, are you still better to make 100 YouTube videos and improve something each time? Or is it good to just think for 3 months about your YouTube channel? You see?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like it's so hard to give advice or to talk about things because it's so complex. And that's why I say it's paradoxes.
Yeah, you
So
need both, right?
yes,
You need the dark and the light.
yes, it's probably both. That's the answer. Like you need thinking. Without it, I agree with you. Like everything that has been created is first created in the mind. Like fight me. Like anything that the human created, they didn't just create it and then they thought about it, right? And then they had the thought and then they start taking action and something happens. So, for example, this podcast didn't happen and then we thought about it. I thought about it. I messaged you. Now this podcast is happening. Every single thing is that like that way. But like once you do your own thinking, that's when you not need to also go and take a lot of imperfect action, because the more you will do, the more real time feedback you get, and the more it feeds back into, and you understand it better, and you are more experienced, and the more you fail, the more you will
Yeah.
succeed. So I think it's both. That's what probably would be the simple answer.
Yeah, I have a very simple exercise for people that I challenge people to do. 30 minutes before you go to bed, lock yourself into your bedroom, no phone, no nothing, and stare at the wall. And then you ask yourself, what is my plan? And then once you create a plan, you have, even better, you have a whiteboard in your bedroom. So you stare at the whiteboard. And on your whiteboard, you should have your plan. In the beginning, you won't have a plan. So then you just ask yourself, what is my plan? And then you start to note it down. The next night is like, how can I make it better? Then the next night is, what am I missing? So just sit and stare at your plan and ask yourselves questions. Do that for half an hour every single night before you go to bed. That's a thinking exercise. Do that, because then that's going to fuel into all of everything else. You will wake up in the morning, you'll be like, oh, imagine if I did that. Imagine if I did that. And that's when you start to get ideas, and then you start to get excited, and then you want to work, and then you start to implement, and then you're like, nobody else is really doing this. I'm copying this, what works, right? I'm finding
Yeah.
this guy or this girl or this business that I can copy. I want to do something like that, but how can I make it better? Then you use that in your think tank session at night. Then you wake up in the morning, you get an idea, then you get excited, and then you want to do the work. So just have a think tank session every night before going to bed, and it's going to change everything for you. Yeah.
So good, man. I've ordered the whiteboard yesterday at 1 a.m. So
Yeah.
I was lying in my bed and I was thinking like, okay, like what can I do? I think I can get a whiteboard and experiment me recording videos like in the whiteboard, see if I like it. Plus, I will write down all these things. And I literally yesterday ordered it. So it's some synchronicity that you're saying this. And I've had this realization, which is so smart. If you look at something for a long time, let's say you wrote down on the whiteboard, it kind of makes sense to me that you will come up with the ideas on how to. It's like kind of movies. If you remember some movies, what do? Like the cool character, there's the plan on the wall, and they look at look at that, and then they kind of like they just look, just like looking at it. You will think about it, and you will put pieces together, and the plan will improve. It's such a good practical thing that you shared. That's awesome. Yeah, like have a thinking time, and like have it written down somewhere and look at it and think. And automatically you will come up with ideas on how to improve. And once these ideas come, you will be forced to take action.
Yeah. And most of the time you get a stupidly simple idea. And you're like, how have I been able to miss that? Because most of the ideas, they're already there. But you're not seeing them. You're missing them because you're not even spending a second looking for them. So if you have your business plan in front of you and you just look at it, you're going to be like, oh, what if I just did this in here? What if I did that? And then you're like, oh, that's genius. But it's literally a 3-year-old could figure that out. And then you implement it, and then you grow your business, make more money, or etc. For example, just to give you a real life example, I did this. I had everything on my business on the thing in my free course initially. I was like, okay, so they joined my free community, and then I'm going to offer them free Q&A calls. And I was looking at that. I was like, how can I make that better? Well, I offer the calls for free. What if they had to qualify for the calls by just leaving a testimonial? So I still made it for free for them, but they had to leave like a video testimonial and read a review on Trustpilot. And then I invited them to the calls. Resulted in 800 plus 5-star Trustpilot reviews and like 200 or 300 video testimonials.
Yeah.
By just me sitting and looking at it, I'm just like, oh, maybe I do that. And I implemented it, and it worked really well. So it's no revolutionary things that pop up. You're just like, how can I be so stupid and not see this thing? So, yeah.
So true. It's usually simple things as well,
Yeah.
as you shared. Like, that's it. Do you have any examples recently for Skool for like getting to 100,000 MRR? Like some simple realization you had? Like, why don't we rebrand the Max Premium to Skool Masterclass? Or why don't we start doing webinars? Or why don't we also have conversations with people in DMs and not only selling calls? Or like, what was the most meaningful thing that came up to you that resulted in the best results so far?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that we've done, like rebranding it, creating Start Here courses and webinars and all of that. But literally one of the biggest things was I went to the first Skool games, and Hormosa was like, yeah, do sales calls, do onboarding calls. I was like, And then I also had two other guys before I went there told me, hey, you should do that. I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And then Hermosa said it. I was like, okay, let's try it out. But I was like, I don't want to do the calls myself because I've been doing enough sales calls and I don't want to have a full calendar to sit there. So, right. And then I found guys who wanted to do it and we implemented it and we doubled our sales. And now,
Yeah.
last time I checked, it was like 56% of our sales is coming from that thing. Yeah. So that was a huge thing. I would say that was the biggest thing in terms of generating money. And it also goes back to you don't have to do things that you don't enjoy. You can always find other people who want to do them. Yeah. Yeah.
So true. And I've seen recently also you started webinars, right? I think in the leaderboard you added, I think, 7,000 in the last 24 hours. Is it mainly from these webinar pushes?
I think also that leaderboard is a little bit skewed. So
Okay.
it's probably it's showing a little bit more than we did, but then at the same time the total revenue is a bit lower than we actually make. So I guess it, right? But yeah, what we've started doing the webinars as well. Just very simple. Get people to register, do a presentation, and give value, and then have an offer at the end. It's working okay. We had like we're getting between like 13 to 20 sales. It's nothing massive, but it's still nice. Adding extra 20 sales in a day from an hour webinar,
Yeah,
it's cool, right?
it's very
So
cool.
yeah,
It's very cool. I am very confident you are going to be number one in Skool soon, in the all-time leaderboard. Maybe of course someone comes, as you say, people always come and like you know, they grow, but it's a fun, it's a competition. But yeah, you are really growing fast, and I think it's so cool for people to see that like when we are talking about this, this is not just theory. This is working. Like the things, the paradigm, the patterns of us that Max is using is proven to get him results. Like go to Skool, go to all-time leaderboard, see the results, right? And go and look what he's doing. It's all mainly simple stuff or a lot of simple things put together. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's simple. And if you actually go back to that foundation, so can I make my free community available? Can I get leads organically and paid? Okay, how much will it cost me? Am I profitable? Why I'm not doing calls? Can I make the calls better? Can I hire someone to do the calls for me so I can spend that time doing something more high leverage that I like doing, right? Can I also close people in the DMs that don't want to jump on a call? Am I making re-offers? So someone that booked calls with us but didn't buy, am I targeting all of the people and then after a week saying, hey, we have this extra bonus if you sign up now? Am I, when people join, do we onboard them? Do we try to, like as you recently started, some incentives, bonuses to unlock in your paid community that so if someone engages more, they get bonuses and there's a competition and there's unlocks. Like all of these things, it takes work, but it's all kind of simple. So this is proven to work. Like for people watching this, there is not one secret that you don't know, right? It's all the foundations. If you go back to them, if you study people that are successful, and if you do that
yeah,
consistently, it will take time, but you will grow as well.
yeah. And again, like where we started the conversation, right? I think the biggest lesson, because this can become very overwhelming for people. And I remember when I started out and I saw what people were doing, I thought
Yeah.
it was the funnels and the webinars and the all of this stuff that kind of made it work. But really what makes a business work is literally the foundation. Like what do you have something to sell that people want? If you just figure that out by doing what we said in the beginning, right? Looking at competitors and copy their essence of what they're selling, like what is it that they're promoting that people want? If you're just starting out and you're listening to this podcast, just figure that out. Just get that. Forget all of the funnels and the strategies and all that crazy stuff. Just figure that out, and then you just start with what you have, and then you test one thing. Maybe I should do this, and then you start selling some more, and then over time you will figure out how to make it bigger. But it only gets bigger if you have something to sell that people want. So just focus on nothing else. Just try to figure out that, and then take one step at a time. Yeah.
Love it, man. True, because otherwise, um, yeah, you will get too overwhelmed. You will think, oh, I need to do this. But like Max didn't
Yeah.
start that way. Like it's been 7 months just for this business. Before that, it's been 7 years, right? And it's all about like just creating the community and then the name and then doing the research and then making the course and then trying to promote it and getting one traffic source that's working. And then slowly you go from there. Otherwise, yeah, if you don't have to see all the way through. You just need to see the next step. And if you do that and you do the next step, you will get there. Such a powerful advice, man. Awesome. Now about the thing I said that we will talk about later, which is your thoughts and your thoughts create your reality, right? I know that you believe in this. I do too. So would you share like your mindset around this? Why manifesting, some people call it, or law of attraction, or like thinking, like how do you use this to get practical results in your life? I know that you use the alchemy of self. Maybe you can talk about that. You look at it daily, or try to look at it often. Yeah, what would you tell people that are skeptical, that are watching this and they think, oh, what thoughts, positive thinking? Like, no. What's the strategy? Where should I click to make money or to make progress? What would you share your experience with this?
Yeah, so I think it's very powerful to question reality, right? If we start there, like what even is this thing, right? What is this suit that I'm in? Like, how am I even having this experience? And then you go
Yeah.
and listen to Elon Musk, and he's like, yeah, the probability of us living a simulation is like higher than us not doing it in a way, right? So what even is life? And you might have a belief system of that you think that you know what life is because everybody else is thinking the same thing, which is a fallacy, right? If you think something is truth just because everybody else is thinking it, like how do you even know? Like they can be wrong. Most often, big groups of people are wrong, right? So if we just begin with that, like we have no idea really what this life is, like the spiritual realm or like however you want to name it, right? Like what's really going on. And I've experienced a lot of times during my life and my entrepreneurial journey that weird things starts to happen when you know what you want and you put action behind that stuff. And it also comes down to your programming in your head, right? And building like a character, like deciding who you want to be and just try to become that person. So yeah, mindset is huge. And then just daily actionable things to do. You mentioned the alchemy of self as Sam created, which is basically just a document where you write down a text. And also, Napoleon Hill has his chapter on desire, like your definite chief aim. You just like write down a goal, you read that goal twice per day, and you stick to that thing and try to mold your mind to like, this is who I am, this is where I'm working towards, this is kind of my goal. And then it kind of happens for you. Like you know what to do next. You put yourself on that trajectory. Yeah. Then what happens in this spiritual world or what happens behind the scenes? Who knows? Who knows what's going on? I think it's a lot more to life than what most people think it is. That we're just meat and bones, and then we die, and there's nothing.
How did you get started in this? Have you read a book, watched a YouTube video? How did you get into this world?
Like you mean like the mindset or like the
Yeah.
spiritual stuff?
Yeah.
Um, I was very early interested in it. I think I don't really know where it started, but I started to play around with it. And like I've always been very intrigued by like what is this thing? And every single time somebody tells me that it is a certain way, I'm like, how do you know that it is that way? And then I really like an open mind to look at both sides. Like, you know, people say that the earth is round, and some people think that it's flat. I think it's very interesting to look at like what evidence do they have for both sides, right? Why do they believe a certain thing? I'm like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I've always been interested in looking into different like things that people again, right? Going out there, listening to other people, and then contemplate it and then pick the pieces that I think make sense. And then also understand that I don't know literally anything. So I much rather just be like, okay, instead of just saying I know the answer to everything, I'm just be like, I don't really know what's going on. But so I'm open to hear what everybody else think, right? Yeah. I just know that there's more to life than what most people think it is. 100% there's a spiritual world, there's something else going on. We're not
Of
just
course.
some, yeah.
100%. Like, it's the hard part is to know for a fact what it is, because for some people it's God, for some people it's the universe, for some people it's something else. But there is something. Like you can't, like this iPhone wasn't just created out of nothing, right? It's just, oh, iPhone. Like there was something behind that this got. You don't get a thing complex like this, just create it. Same as
Yeah.
us, like how much complex we are. The organism, we are right now sitting here, and like thoughts are coming from somewhere, and we are just making noises, and like you are right now in a different part of the world, and like we see each other in real time. Somehow, someone created this, and like this is so weird. And one funny thought I just have when you are thinking, when you are saying like you are open-minded and thinking about this and what even life is or all this stuff, that's so true. And sometimes like I have that thought, like I was just thinking like what is this? Like what is podcast? Like what are we doing? We are talking like what's the and you get sometimes like and it's good to question these things and to and like if you question it, you understand that there's something going on, and if it's true, which it is, it's just kind of unavoidable, inevitable that like if you put the right kind of thoughts in your head and you kind of tap into that, you will get better results. Like you might not even believe in any spiritual things or in God or things like that, but you can just think like if I think more positively, if it's just those thoughts and like just chemicals in your brain, the more stuff that you have here which is positive, or the more stuff you have here that the more you think about the things that you want, like you kind of that's how your brain works, that's what you will think about, and like that's where you will end up. Like you can't, like I'm right now not gonna magically end up a professional hockey player, right? Out of like I'm sitting here and then tomorrow I'm a golden medalist just out of nothing. You probably need to think about that, and it needs to be your thought and your dream, and start working on it, and like kind of slowly develops. So, and practical thing again for people that are skeptical is everything created, at least in the human world, was first created in the mind. Like you can,
Yeah.
this head, right? It didn't got created just like this got created and then someone thought, right? No, thought and then reality. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's like my biggest reasoning why I believe in God and why I believe that there's actually a creator who created this place, because exactly because of what you just said, right? That everything is by design, everything is created, everything that is complex and is working, somebody created. But we who created it, like this intellect who actually created all this stuff, that was random, dude. That just happened. That's the Big Bang. It's just it just happened. But we create all of this stuff. Like I could leave a plastic bag and some, I don't know what's in this, for a
yeah,
billion years. It would never look like this. It would never
yeah,
become this. Never ever.
yeah, yeah,
So that's what doesn't make sense. I respect everybody and what belief
yeah,
system they have, but in my head, it doesn't make sense that this world and everything just happened, and that we, the
yeah,
humans, walk this earth just happened. It doesn't make any sense in my world. There's intellect behind it. There's a designer. There's a creator behind it. Yeah.
yeah. So true. And one way I think about this as well is like if we have consciousness, which we have, it means that it exists in the universe. Like you cannot have something that doesn't exist in you. Like if right now if I'm here, that means I am within the universe, right? The universe contains me at the moment, if it makes sense. Like I can't be out of the universe. Like I am a part of it. And if that's true, if we think that we have consciousness and we have consciousness, that means the consciousness exists in the universe. It's not that you have it separate from the universe. It is there and you got a part of it, which means that kind of there is a global consciousness, in my opinion, right? Now I haven't always figured it out, etc., and I also respect open thinking, and like I am open for discussions and stuff and figuring it out. I don't have all the answers, but also about the thing that you said that there's there's design in like design with, for the world. Why I agree is because there's also one quote which says them, let's call them atheists, right? And I'm not saying all atheists are bad or something, but like it's a quote that says like atheists can explain everything. All they need is just one big miracle, right? So if you give them that one big miracle of Big Bang, after that they will explain everything. But like that they don't talk about, right? So it's also that's kind of what is interesting about this, is that no matter who you are, how you identify yourself, what do you believe in, everyone admits that there is miracles that we don't know and we don't understand, right?
Yeah.
So, and that thing can be that fundamental thing that people call God or they believe in.
Yeah.
which is really interesting.
And I'm growing up, like, none of my parents are Christian or believe in a God or not that spiritual. None of my friends, I had like my grandmother was, but like I just came to this conclusion myself because it just made more sense that there was a creator than that it wasn't. And I think the entrepreneurial journey helped a lot with that because like I'm trying to build like I'm trying to build like something to sell online, which is basically it's stupidly simple. I'm doing it at the small scale. And then I look out in the world and all of these things going on. I'm like, imagine who created that stuff. It's just
Yeah,
like, and if that's just random, like nothing happens by random. Like
yeah,
nothing beautiful that's working and that is complex and that solves a problem just happens by random.
yeah,
I can't think of a single thing. Then people say nature, but that's my whole point. Like,
yeah,
who created that then?
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. And everyone believes in something. Like
Yeah.
everyone, you cannot. Every single person, they have some sort of value system, and they have something that's at the top, and that's what they believe in, and that's what they make up, and like no one knows it for a fact. And I think what I agree with you is that like we are not saying that like all of this again people need to look at this in a balanced way, I think, at least in my opinion. Like, you can be super successful, you can make progress, you can make money, you can think logically, you can admit that you don't know things, and still believe in a creator, and still believe in a God, or be religious, or be spiritual. And you kind of can connect all of these things. But I think what you can't do is just deny the miracles of this world and not admit that it happens. And for sure, the people that are successful, billionaires, they just think differently. That's what they do. They are, some people call it, they are in a different frequency, but basically what it means is they just operate with a different programming. They just have different attitude. They react to things differently. Like same
Yeah.
thing can happen to someone. Like someone can be beaten up in when they are a child, and two kids, and the first one decides, oh, the world is unfair, and they go and hurt themselves, and the second person and says, oh, I got beaten up, now I need to become so strong that no one will ever do this to me, and they're going to become a world champion. So same thing happened. What kind of how they reacted to it, what attitude they had to it, what frequency or like what thoughts, that ultimately creates the reality. And I agree with you. And I think for people listening to this, start with practical things, right? I am not going to mountains becoming a monk. I don't think Max is doing it every day. He's otherwise he wouldn't be growing his business this much, at least for now. But like start with practical things. Max shared, have somewhere written down your goals. Look at them. Ask yourself what's the plan, right? Think about it. Create it, and you will see the more you think about these things, the more positive thoughts you have, the the more likely will be create this reality for yourself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So is there a topic that you want to share but you kind of don't get the chance to do that? Like, for example, I asked this for to William Brown, and he said, yeah, for him, it's like people all the time ask about money and ask about this, but they don't ask about how to build real wealth. And the real wealth for him is having multiple houses, money in real estate, and like being smart with investments. So in 5, 10 years, you are kind of secure and like you don't worry about anything and you design your own life. Yeah. So like, is there anything for you? Literally anything. You are
Mm.
thinking about it day to day a little bit, but you haven't shared it that you might think might be helpful for others, or you just want to share it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Oh, a big thing that is okay if somebody's just starting out, right? Because I remember this was hard for me when I started out, and that was, you know, you it stops a lot of people to even start this thing that they want to do because they have other people telling them that they can't do it, type of thing. So just doing what you want to do with your life and not to go this like traditional route because that's the right thing to do. I think that's absolutely massive. Like, do what you want to do. Like, that's literally it. And yeah, just do that. And if somebody doesn't want to be with you because of that, or You know, the worst thing that can happen is that you don't spend any more time with those people. Like all of my friends that I had when I was younger, before I started this, I don't talk with them anymore. Like for X, Y reasons, who knows? Like
Yeah.
we grew apart, right? And yeah, I think it's sad if you live a life and you don't do what you truly want to do yourself. That sucks in my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
And life is just flying by so quick, right? It really, really does. And we could talk about some more like complex and like investment, all of that, but I think that's literally it. Just do what you want to do. Just do that. And when you do that, you will get excited because then you're feeling like you're living life. You're like, this is a bit risky. Like this could go south. Like,
Yeah.
you know, Sam's story had to move back with his parents. I also had to move back with my parents and like live in their guest house. And I was like 26, I think, or something. That's not that cool to move back to your parents when you're 26 or 27. Yeah,
Yes.
26, I think I was, right? That's not that cool, right? And all of your past friends are like, what is this guy doing? He's just trying to think that he's gonna make this work, and now he's just living with his parents, fucking, right? And they have this nice job or whatever, right? Um, but just do what you want to do. Just do that.
So good.
Yeah.
Were you always like this? That you did what your own thing, or you learned this?
Mm, well, yeah, I think I was always a little bit always like that. When I grew up, I had a lot of friends. Like I had a great childhood. Like we grew up on a small street with a bunch of kids, and it was awesome, and that was really, really good. Um, but then when I grew older and I just wanted to continue to kind of do this thing that I wanted to do in a way, right? I started to understand that there was friction there because people started to trying to put me in a box in a way. And then when you don't want to be in their box, then people don't like it, right? You kind of it becomes a character thing. They're like, no, you are Max. You're gonna be in this box. I'm like, I don't want to be in this box. I'm gonna do something else, and people don't like that. And then it starts to be hurtful, and then it starts to be painful. And but that's great to do that because that's building your character. Like you'll learn how to not care so much about what people think of you. You will still you might still care what they think about you, and it might I hate when like if somebody doesn't like me, I don't like that they don't like me, but I don't let that hinder my actions, right? I'm still gonna do it. Yeah, I might not like that you don't like me, but I'm still gonna do it anyways because I'm gonna do what I want to do, right?
So true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's powerful, man. I think that's what almost every single successful people, if we can call it that way, people that just live the lives that they want to live and achieve their goals and become the person that they want to become, they have in common. Like you can't become who you want to be without sacrificing who you are now, which means that you maybe need to sacrifice some relationships. You need to go against the crowd, right? Or you need to be misunderstood sometimes. But what's the alternative? Like if you're old and you're gonna die soon, will you look back and say, yeah, I'm so happy that I just listened to every single person out there and didn't listen to myself. I've done everything that others wanted, but never
Yeah.
did something I wanted. You are not going to say that. So this is such a good advice that you just shared, and I'm glad that glad that you share this because yeah, this is powerful. Like you will not regret this. Do what you want. Do you, right? If you really want something, if that really sounds true to you, go for it. You will not regret it, and it's gonna be exciting. And that's so cool. Okay, closing question would be: I've stolen this question from another podcast, which is: imagine that you are going to disappear, and
Okay.
all of your free masterclass, your courses, your videos, your podcasts, your conversations with people, you as a memory from everything, you just disappear. And the
Okay.
only thing that will stay are three things that you want to share with people that want to get better, that want to achieve more, that want to become the best version of themselves. What these three truths would be. The first one can be if you want to do what you want, listen to yourself, that thing, if you want to, and you can share the other two, or you can share three different things, up to you. But what would be these three truths that you would leave to the world? At least for now, it can change with time, that's fine. But at least from your current understanding of the world?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, a big thing is you get what you give, right? That's a huge thing. And that's very true in entrepreneurship and life and everything. So that would probably be the first thing. So the more you can give and the better stuff you can give, and the more people you can impact and the more people you can help, the more you will help yourself, right? So nothing comes from you getting first. You give first. You give and you, right? That would be like the first thing. Um, yeah, the second thing would most likely be to try to tell people or leave that like everything is mental in a way. So like create a goal, have a goal, know what you want to do and stay true to that thing, right? Everything that we talked about, creating a goal, sticking to that, doing what you want to do, right? And stay true to yourself in a way. So that's that. So now you're making good things for others and you know what you want to do and combine the two. And the final thing then would be to just dream big type of thing, right? Just dream big and try to have try to have a big impact. Like I think that's what it comes down to. It's not only about us, right, or you as an individual. It's about like trying to impact other people. How can you impact and make this? It sounds cliche, but how can you just make a dent in this world? How can you like? How can you? I think that when life becomes meaningful, when you try to help people, right? If you just can try to do something that is cool and a big scale and it actually helps people, I feel like if you lie on your deathbed and you're like, I actually did what I wanted to do, and I tried to help people in a positive way, and I stay true to myself, I feel like that is a pretty good life to live. Yeah, yeah,
So good, man. I love the quote that said something like, if you die and you haven't accomplished a big win for humanity, you should be ashamed of yourself or something like this. Of course, it's like a little bit extreme, but like the point is, try to, once you die, especially if you're watching this and you got to this point, like I am telling you, regular people don't watch podcasts with Max, Perzon, and Harut for 1 hour and 22 minutes and they're still here, right? So there's
yeah,
someone that wants to get better, someone that is in this space, someone that wants, like, they don't want to settle. If you're that person, try to, once you die, make sure that there was a difference. And you don't have to create Facebook and like change the world that way, but at least do everything that you can. Give as much as you can. Help as many people as possible. Take care of your clients. Share your wisdom with others. Like just try to do that. And no one is perfect. I am not, but if you do that, you will not regret it. And I think we are all here today and we can talk and have this opportunity to be where we are right now because of all the things that our parents, our ancestors, other humans did. The internet that we are right now using, we didn't create it. The computer, the language that we are speaking, we didn't invent that, right? The clothes we are wearing, the platforms we are using, the currency, the world, how it's set up, and all of these things. So that it all happened, we are here because of other people and because they kind of helped others. So if you do that, that would be awesome. And yeah, that was wonderful free piece of advice, man. So give you, and I've noticed this. Your first one, you have this on your YouTube banner right now as well, right? The person that adds the most value wins, or something like this. So give. The more you give, the more you will get. Do your own thing. Have a goal. Think about it. Pay attention to your mindset, because that's what you will become. And number 3, dream big. Have a big impact. It's not just about us, but it's also about the impact that we have on the world. Was so good.
yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man. So I will leave Skool Masterclass and your YouTube channel in the description, and also the free community. Any place that you want people to check you out, or any last closing thoughts?
No, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this.
Yeah, thank you, Harut.